On Thai PBS World tonight, it is not simply an election but a sign for future politics in Thailand. The opposition unveils candidates for local elections facing the ruling party in its stronghold in northeastern Thailand. An upward degree of trajectory shows positivity in the economy with the projection of 3% GDP growth this year, but challenges are looming. And dozens of Dugongs have been found dead in Krabi province due to starvation. Experts are growing seagrass to mitigate the crisis. Good evening, you are watching Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Frank Kanchi.
And I'm Nad Bunna.
And of course, at the beginning, we want to talk about the political story that we talked about yesterday. It's about the PAO election in Udon Thani.
Yes, and we actually said yesterday that it's not only about who won the local elections, because it actually paves the way for future national elections as well. And recently, the People's Party is ready to challenge the Pheu Thai party in the mayoral elections, and they say that they are not worried by former Prime Minister Thaksin campaigning in support of Pheu Thai candidates. The party introduced 12 of its candidates for the mayoral elections in 12 provinces to the media. The provinces include Chiang Mai, Lamphun, Mukdahan, Nong Khai, Trat, Phuket, Surat Thani, Phang Nga, Songkhla, Samut Songkhram, Samut Prakan, and Nonthaburi. And besides the 12 candidates, 2 more are in the process of contesting the local elections, one in Udon Thani this Sunday. Also, 4 or 5 more candidates will be unveiled later. People's Party leader Nathapong Rungpanyawut said that the party will highlight 5 policies in the elections, including clean water, improved public transport and public health services, education, as well as the transparency in the use of budgets by local administrative organizations. Regarding Thaksin helping to campaign for the Pheu Thai candidates in Udon Thani province, Nathapong said that anyone can help in the campaign, adding that he would welcome core party members joining the election campaign as well. So, like we said yesterday, the competition is getting fierce because in Udon Thani and most of the northeastern provinces, it's usually the stronghold of the Pheu Thai party, but we have seen the political shift here where some of the constituencies are leaning towards the People's Party and some of the opposition parties. So what the candidates and the parties are doing right now is to gain as many voters as possible.
As what you said, I think the shift in political field is very, very significant. It's an alarming bell for Pheu Thai party. As what you said, of course, Kun Nathapong, the People's Party leader right now, talk about actually 5 policies here, no matter it's clean water, public transport, and another side, of course, Thaksin the Pheu Thai party, they focuses on the national strategy here. So actually, the importance of applying the strategies in local election this time in Udon Thani is very, very significant for both sides to see which one will win.
Which one will win
on Sunday.
On Sunday we'll have to wait and see who will become the winner. But speaking of the strategies and the policies that they actually proposed to the supporters, Thaksin seemed to be focusing on the national policies, one of them being the digital wallet scheme, because they seem to use this strategy of the people's livelihoods, the economic stability, whereas for the People's Party, they're focusing on just the fundamental rights that they should have, whether it's education, clean water, and also the transparency in the use of budget. So this is what their main focus is.
So at the end, it depends on the voters. What do they buy? Do they buy the fundamental strategy as what you said, or they buy the economic strategy that Pheu Thai already implemented? This is the way that we will see.
And another thing that we also have to mention, though, is that the supporters, whether it's the new voters or voters of the elderly or the senior population, because some of the analysts have been saying that some of the older voters would be leaning towards Thaksin and the new voters might be leaning towards the People's Party.
Yeah.
But then we will have to wait for the election results this Sunday.
And all the analysis, of course.
Yeah.
Another side, of course, we have to talk about economy here because we see some good performance of Thailand's economy, as in, of course, NESDC already projects Thailand will grow 2.6% this year. As what you see on the screen right now, Thailand's economic think tank, the National Economic and Social Development Council, or NESDC, has projected that the Thai economy will grow by 2.6% in 2024 compared to only 1.9% last year. Growth in the third quarter and for the first 3 quarters of 2024 were 3% and 2.3% respectively, thanks to the expansion of public sector investment for the first time in 6 months and increased exports, services, and consumption in the public sector. I think because these are the economic drivers in Q3. In the private sector, growth in the third quarter saw consumption, of course, construction up 15.5%, exports up 10.5%, imports up 9.6%, including services. Consumption also increased. The NESDC has estimated that overall revenues from tourism this year will be 1.5 trillion baht, with a further expectation of growth in the following years. Employment and inflation are low at 1.02% and 0.6%, while foreign reserves are estimated at $243 billion. Public debt at the end of September was estimated at more than 11 trillion baht, or 63.3% of GDP. In 2025, the NESDC has suggested that the government focuses on driving export growth in parallel with precautionary steps to cope with an anticipated increase in trade barriers, protecting local products against unfair dumping and trade policies from, of course, our neighboring countries, accelerating private investment in the construction sector and disbursement of state funding for construction work, and of course, supporting farmers and supporting SMEs. So of course we got very positive data there as 3%, but actually one point I have to point out that sometimes, of course, I talk to economists and World Bank, they point out that, of course, Thailand's government, they have the goal to push Thailand to become a high income country. We need 7% per year, but right now only 3%.
And we have to admit one thing though, is that the economic growth in Thailand, whether it's the projections for this year, it's still very low compared to other ASEAN countries. And this is something that we have to accept the fact. And with the government trying to push the country into becoming a high income country, that is a huge task. And remember, the Pheu Thai party has proposed policies such as having the minimum salaries to be about 25,000 baht for the new jobbers, or any other policies, or increasing the daily minimum wage. That would take that would take a lot of effort. And we have to accept the fact that the economy, not just in Thailand, but elsewhere around the world, is still facing challenges. It's not like booming at the moment.
And as, of course, NESDC suggested, trade barriers, we're going to see that because next year Trump will become the next US president. And of course, he already said that he would apply a lot of trade barriers to China and to other countries in the world, which export a lot of products to US. So we will see that too.
It is a challenge for Thailand as well, considering that Trump would impose the tariffs against the foreign goods, especially goods from China. They said that they would put up to 60% at most. And what about the other countries exporting their goods to the US?
So 10 to 20%, and Thailand will face it too. And other than that is dumping goods, of course, from China, because they always produce cheap products. And right now, maybe the economy inside China is not that strong right now, so they have to sell the product outside of the country, and Thailand is one of that direct destinations.
Yes,
so the Thailand government needs to face it.
And what NESDC actually recommended to the government, it's mainly focused on the agricultural sector and SME. So it aims to focus more on the grassroots level.
Yes.
So they think that is the fundamental, but I think there are other sectors that they have to focus on as well.
Yeah, one more thing, I think it's about innovation, no matter it's on the grassroots level or high income level. That's the very important
because
point.
During the APEC summit, many countries have been placing more importance on improving digital innovations and digital infrastructure, and that will actually increase the connectivity. That is the thing that people are placing much more importance on. But with the Thai government, what have we seen so far apart from becoming like a digital hub? But yes, we do see that they're trying to attract more investment with data centers. But what about the other things that are related?
How about on the channels, that connectivity, digital economy there? Of course, our government say that they want to push for it, but we need to see the strong, of course, the practical steps to see that the connectivity together. Another story we have to talk about, maybe it's good for office worker, not for news people, because some new concept there say that maybe 4-day work week can boost the productivity here. Wow, that's pretty good for office workers. So of course, in Thailand, we have this survey here. 95% of Thai professionals say that, okay, they are willing to do the transition, but only 26% of employers say that, oh, we need some time to do it within next 1 to 2 years. This is the conversation with the country manager of Robert Waters Thailand. Let's have a look. I think one of the reasons why people talk about it, employees in the office, they think that 4 days per week can help them to increase productivity. This is one of the positive side, right? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's possible, right? If they know that they only have to work 4 days, they can actually like try, because the amount of work will be, I would say it will be the same. So they will be more productive, meaning they will have a way to really manage that time. Yeah, to make it happen within 4 days. So it's actually like, I think it will increasing the way that they design their work. There can be more creativity as well to actually make sure that it happened within 4 days. Yeah, and we saw that in some country, in some company, which is still very like low number, but they actually implementing this. But this normally happen in the western side.
So how about Asia side? Of course, we talk about it in Thailand and this region too. What is the concerns from the employers? Because some might think that the productivity might increase, but how about the delayed projects? Some people talk about there might be a negative impact to customer experience or other concerns. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's also depend on the industry as well. If you are in retail where you need to really service customer almost like 24/7, to really like implement 4 days will not really be a good positive impact for both company and also customer. But if you are in like the industry that you can really working from anywhere, that might be like feasible as well. Yeah,
So it
and the
means
concern, and I think another concern is like when we from after COVID, right? When we actually like working from home 3 days or no, in the office 3 days or 4 days, I think a lot of HR and also employer think that maybe it's not enough. And the trend in Thailand that we saw is that the number of days that the employer asks employee to come back is increasing.
In this result, we see there's some degrees of comparisons.
I think different country have different way and culture as well. Like for example, in Vietnam, right? I believe during COVID time, like not a lot of company actually moved to working from home mode. Yeah, so meaning like they still working in the office. Majority will be 5 days. for example. So like to really like thinking about 4-day work week, it's gonna be a very new concept compared to the country that um like comfortable with working like from home already. So there's a degree of like familiarity, even though like 4-day is not the same as working from home, right? But then like there's some similarity that okay, you actually like have more freedom to choose where you want to work. While I think in Vietnam it's actually like not as that level. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like 88% of the professional will think that is feasible, right? Which is actually like not that high compared to Thailand, for example. Yeah. So and I think like Malaysia, what when I actually like talk to our counterpart and also like client that actually like have office in Malay, we know that like they start to ask people to come back working in the office. Yeah, more than in Thailand and also Indonesia and Korea as well.
With the 4-day work week, many of the companies around the world have been trying to impose that, and it has proven that the employees have increased productivity and their work-life balance and their mental health has improved. But then on the other side of it, the employers are not so sure about it, especially it depends on the industry as well. Because if we look at journalism, for example, I think that would be the easiest way to give you an example
I wish
here.
we could, but
Yeah, well, we wish we could have a 4-day work week, but thinking about the way we hire people. 7 days a week, for example, like most of the Thai news agencies work 6 days a week. That is the thing, except for some like Thai PBS, for example, we do get 5-day work week. But then if you're going to impose a 4-day work week for news agencies, it would be hard. That means you might have to hire 2 people to cover the whole week. So let's say like from Monday to Thursday would be one person, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be another person. So that would be a burden for some of the companies, especially if they're facing like financial constraints.
So do you know what it means? It means pay cut. It means delayed outcome. As what Punyanu, the country manager of Rubber Waters Thailand, say there. Because in Thailand, we still meet some difficulties for companies to implement these very innovative strategies. As in, I think in news industry, it's not that possible because, as what you said, we have to hire more people. Secondly, in news industry, we need to follow the news every moment, every second. But for office worker, it might work. But it means that employers, they might need to pay more.
That's the thing. The employers may have to pay more, and many of the companies are facing financial issues already, and they have experienced layoffs, and they have to cut the budgets as well. Or even, it's not only just journalism that may not be able to impose the 4-day work week. Retail, for example, would be another industry that might face this sort of problem because the same thing. We still have to serve the customers. We still have to keep up with all the customer demands, and people come in and out in malls every single day. So if we have only 4 days, what about the remaining days? Who's going to serve them?
It means they have to pay more. And actually in this survey, they also talk about regional angle too. So when you see Hong Kong, when you see Malaysia, maybe this is the financial center, the semiconductor center, so they can do it. But for Vietnam, it's totally different issues there because mostly they focus on factory work. They need more people to cover those surplus time. So of course, pay more. You need less time, it means you might get less pay.
That's the sad truth, though. Even though office workers or even just ordinary staff like us, we do want 4-day work weeks, but in reality, it may not be efficient. And not all industries can do that, and that is the sad truth. As much as many of the employees want 4-day work weeks so that the remaining 3 days we can spend more time with ourselves, with our families, with our hobbies, or actually have some time to recharge so that we can show up and work to our fullest. But then, unfortunately, for Thailand, it's still really difficult.
Still in a experimental stage rather than practical stage yet.
Exactly. And now let's move on to this issue. Wildlife trafficking remains a huge issue, not just in Thailand, but in many countries around the world. But sadly, Thailand has been known as a regional hub for such illegal acts. However, there have been efforts by the Thai government and some of the authorities to put an end to wildlife trafficking and have made efforts to send endangered animals back to their countries as well. And Thailand has agreed to return 963 lemurs and rare turtles back to Madagascar after such animals were seized from wildlife traffickers in the southern province of Chumphon back in May this year. The Natural Resources and Environment and Justice Ministries recently agreed to return the endangered animals to their native land at the request of Madagascar's government, acting on a tip-off that several endangered species were to be smuggled from Indonesia to Thailand through Thailand's southernmost province of Satun on May 1st. Officials from the Department of National Parks, Wildlife and Plant Conservation were sent to Chumphon, which is a major intersection for Bangkok-bound vehicles, to look for suspicious vehicles used by the traffickers. In the 4 cars that were searched, they found 1,117 lemurs and turtles, several of which were already dead. The 963 animals which were still alive were taken to a waterbird breeding center in Chonburi province. The government of Madagascar sent their Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development to Thailand to inspect the animals and to request their repatriation. The animals to be returned include 16 ring-tailed lemurs, 32 brown lemurs, 760 spider turtles, and 155 radius striped turtles, all of which are classified as the most endangered species. So you can see that there are some efforts in repatriating some of these endangered species back to Madagascar.
So of course, as what you said there, Thailand is quite infamous of the animal center here. Of course, right now, the government tries to any way to catch this illegal trafficking, wildlife trafficking here, but we still see some news there about this trafficking.
Yeah, we see them pretty much all the time. Unfortunately, whether it's through the borders or smuggling in airports, we see that pretty much very often. And these endangered animals here, most of them, they are almost extinct. So smuggling them is totally wrong. And maybe some of the countries already have a law saying that these endangered species should be kept in the wild, not for transport.
And this could also destroy Thailand's food chain, biological chain too, because of course this endangered species is not natural one in Thailand. It's always trafficked from all around the world and come to Thailand for illegal trade.
Yeah, and I remember like last year there was an effort to repatriate some of the orangutans that were smuggled from Indonesia to Thailand, and now they have repatriated some of the orangutans back to Indonesia already. So it shows that the government does take this very seriously, and they have been trying to put an end to illegal animal trade, even though it is not easy to seize all of the animals that were smuggled. But you can see that there is some progress, and they have been trying to put an end to such illegal acts.
And we've seen efforts from government and authorities to protect Thailand from these endangered species and send back to the origin nations there. So of course, another story, we also talk about animal, but this time it's about dugongs, which have been decreasing due to lack of seagrass. 36 dugongs have died this year, including 5 in November alone, largely of starvation due to the lack of seagrass, believed to be caused by global warming. Seagrass used to be abundant in their feeding grounds in the seas of Trang, Krabi, Phuket, according to a marine expert at Kasetsart University. He said that the latest dugong to be found dead is believed not to have eaten for a long time, and its body covered with sea squirts, although the actual cause of death is pending an autopsy report. He said, however, that officials from the fisheries faculty, in cooperation with local people on Boo Island in Krabi province, have been trying to grow seagrass in a test farm in the sea. He said sea cucumbers are also raised on the farm, so villagers will tend to both the sea grass and the sea cucumbers, adding that the project will be further expanded. And the marine expert admitted, though, that he is concerned that more dugongs will die, as he urged authorities to develop contingency plans to save the dugongs. Meanwhile, the president of the Krabi Marine Conservation Association claimed that about 90% of the seagrass found in over 3,200 hectares of the sea around 3 islands has disappeared, as he urged authorities concerned to rehabilitate the feeding grounds of the dugongs quickly. A test farm to grow seagrass in the sea of Ban Lem Tsai in Trang province, operated by the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, has been doing well, with the seagrass growing steadily and expanding. The farm is protected to prevent other sea creatures from eating the seagrass. Due to the lack of seagrass in their traditional feeding grounds, many dugongs have migrated from Trang to Krabi and further down to Satun and the Malaysian border line in search food. The director of the Phuket Marine Biological Center said that the lack of seagrass does not only affect dugongs but other aquatic species as well, such as blue crabs and other animals in the sea. So, of course, right now, as what we said, linking to last story, that the authority, the government, trying to, grow the seagrass for these dugongs.
And the depletion of seagrass does affect not only the dugongs, but like you said, other aquatic animals as well. So you can see that if something goes missing in the food chain, it does affect the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's sad to hear that there are many animals, especially with the dugongs, dying because there's not enough food for them.
So it's because of global warming this time.
Yeah.
Of course, we can see the temperature is still going up right now. It's going to break the Paris goal there. And so that's why aquatic animals, including dugong this time, they have a hard time to survive.
Yeah, many animals are trying to survive, especially with climate change, global warming, and on all of these issues, natural disasters that we see much more often. So it is time to raise awareness about climate change and how it really affects not just the people, but the animals and also the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates about Thailand as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ